Hi, welcome back to VME Vaginismus, Let's Name It, Not Shame It. My name is Audrey Cairo, and I hope to bring you another episode to leave you inspired or empowered. As you might know, in this first series, I've been talking to some amazing women who were brave enough to share their vaginismus journey with me. And in this episode, I'm speaking to the amazing Alona. I also met Alona about 6 months ago, and it's been really, I want to say amazing again. How many times can I say amazing? But let's say it's been a real honor to get to know her. I recently heard her speak at a community event as well. And for me, I was just listening to her and I really felt like, wow, this girl has come such a long way in so much. And it's just a pleasure that she wanted to sit down with me and tell her story and to be real with me about what's going on or what went on for her this time. Because in our workshop or in our program, we can decide not to talk about certain things or certain traumas. But yeah, for our podcast, it was important for her to be real and to share what her story is and what vaginismus represented for her. There is a moment in the podcast where Alona says cut. And we were thinking about cutting that part, but in the end we left it in because we felt it was good for you to hear, just to see what her thought process was at that moment. Honestly, there's so much to say about this episode, and that's maybe the reason why it's as well a bit longer than normal. There's a lot that will come in from her being disconnected with her body, from getting to acceptance, of finding out about her vagina, but also the underlying reason for her vaginismus and why she might have ignored her vagina for all that time. This episode had me laugh, cry, and feel all the emotions. So do make yourself comfortable and just be gentle with yourself as well. Take it all in. So have a listen, rate and review, and subscribe where possible. And if you'd like to be in touch with me, contact me on Instagram at Let's Call Her V, where I would also give you updates on any events or when the next podcast comes out. But I'm very curious to hear what you think. So enjoy. Hi, Alona. I am
Hi, Audrey.
so happy to have you here today. Like, I've been looking forward to our conversation. Literally. I don't know how many. I have really been looking for. Like, Alona's making a stop sign. Stop, stop, stop. I was like, why are we stopping already? We just began. I've been looking forward to our conversation so much. I don't even know. I can't even tell you how excited I am. But everyone thinks I'm always excited, but this is real. I am really excited. How are you feeling though?
Hi, Audrey. Hi. I'm feeling very excited. I'm so happy to be here, and it's been ages since I seen you last time, so I'm so excited to see you.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
are you
like it's a new year. It's a new year, 2021, and we're definitely like in a bit of a weird time, like COVID wise. How have you been coping? How are you keeping?
Yeah, it's okay. I'm keeping busy with work and yeah, just lots to do. I'm always keeping busy. So
The good thing is we're here and we're having a conversation. And as you know, with the VME podcast, it's quite new. For me, it's also very new. And I just am enjoying the conversations that I had so far with everyone, just to see where we go, really. But one of the things that I started asking as a starter question is because I know that in our coaching program, we had a moment that we named our own vagina, right? So just
yeah,
to
yeah.
start with, like, do you remember what was the name? What was the name that you given your vagina?
I gave it a name. I called it Princess Kate.
Princess K. Princess K.
I know.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. Like, I think you also used a little crown.
Yeah, it's a crown. I made my little vagina and I put a little crown on top of it, and I just called it Princess K.
So Princess K. So the actual start question would be, if you would have one word that would describe your relationship with Princess K, what would the word be?
I would think It's friendly. I think we're friends.
Friends. Yeah.
We're friends for sure.
Good. So in our conversation today, we'll be talking more about your friendship with Princess K, um, of how that friendship might have started or how it was before. As we know, with Vaginismus, friendship is not always instantly there. Um, so that's a bit of just to hear your story, really, about your Vaginismus journey, but mostly what we say, your how you have become friends with Princess K, if that makes
Sure.
sense.
It's yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's a story of how I didn't really always acknowledge the Princess K existence. It obviously didn't come as a surprise that I have a vagina, but we've been so disconnected ever since I've been a teenager. I just literally always never acknowledged me below my waist. It's been always a struggle to sort of like, you know, I'm a young woman. I really want to start dating boys, but I'm so responsible and I have so many things going on in my life. I really want to succeed and, I wouldn't want to get pregnant while I'm at school. Obviously, you read stories and you see how other young women struggle. And I was just such a perfectionist from very beginning that I just wanted to do well, and everything which would be associated with sex and vaginas and boys at school, it was just no, no, this is bad. This is what bad girls do. And
Mm.
yeah, it's been a struggle to acknowledge that you're actually a full-on woman with a vagina, with something which later in life can actually make you feel good. But at that point, when you're 15 and you start your first period, you're absolutely terrified and you're just like, oh my God, I started my period and I couldn't really go to anyone as well because I was just embarrassed to the very core. I didn't know how to even say it out loud. I actually had an anxiety attack in the toilet. I was like, oh my God, what is this?
Mm.
So, yeah, this is when I became a woman. This is when I started my period, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. But yeah, knowing that I was on my period, I still sort of, disagreed with the whole you have a vagina, you're a woman. And I was like, no, 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 I still don't have this. No, I'm fine.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
can just continue being me, a girl at school, doing my own girly thing.
yeah. Could,
So
could you
yeah,
could
later
you
on,
could
yeah.
you describe, like, because you were saying about when you were 15, so that's like, so did you say that you got your period around your 15? Did I understand that?
Probably 13, yeah, but then, I was still in denial.
Okay, okay, okay.
I was brought up in a semi-religious family without a father, and my mom was the man of the house basically, and she was hardworking, and I barely saw her. She was always at work, and probably the moment I would see her, it would be Sunday. And obviously, that mom and daughter connection. I was always There was always like something quick. Oh, mom, can you help me with this? Oh, mom, can you help me with that? But there was nothing about like, mom, I'm on my period, or mom, I need help. That would be never, never the case. I would be always dealing with it myself. And so, as a 13-year-old on a period, I'm like, oh my God, I could probably just go to my mom and whisper it really quietly. So I did, sort of whispered it, and she sort of showed me how to do things with what things, and that was basically me. That's it.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
like a little 5-minute introductory course on a period. That was it.
Yeah. Like, when did you find out about your vagina in that sense then? Because what you said, you ignored it. You ignored it, or it was, and then of course you got your period, and then, oh shit, all this, I want to say all this crap is coming out. But let's just say it differently. Like it was like, then you got your period, and then you had to, when you got your period, and then you got had to actually more relate to what's happening down below, you said, because before you ignored it a bit.
Yeah, and then years passed by. Obviously, all the girls having smear tests or some sort of gynecology checkups, and a gynecologist was never a doctor I would go to, because in my head I knew that I have to have sex before I go for a smear test. Somehow that was something, because I have to I have to have my hymen broken to actually gynecologist insert the speculum in. And that was my only fear and the thing and something I had in my head. And I didn't have a boyfriend at the time, and then I was always postponing those visits. And once when I went to a gynecologist, I had an ultrasound examination, because I actually, me as a 24, 25-year-old woman at the time, I went to a gynecologist where he looked at me and he was like, okay, please undress, please go behind the curtain. And I said, oh, no, I'm not doing the internal exam. And he looked at me, it was a man, which I was comfortable with. He was like, why not? I was like, oh, no, I'm still a virgin. And he was like, oh, why is that? And I literally just looked at him and I said, oh, I am just too religious. I literally lied into his face saying that I'm too religious, I'm waiting until I get married. The look he gave me was just like, really? Because I was wearing this bright yellow top and red lips, and I just had to make an excuse, which when I left the surgery, and I was like, are you kidding? Are you really? Did you really just say that out loud? Obviously, he wouldn't believe me, but I had my ultrasound exam and everything was fine. And he was like, oh, okay, let me know if things change, just come by. I left. I was never, I never went back to see the same doctor. But I felt so ashamed that I had to lie to a grown-up man as a 25-year-old woman, that I'm so religious that I can't have an exam. it, that I, it was ridiculous. But in my head, I was like, okay, something I can probably get away with. That's okay. That maybe in a year,
Yeah.
we'll get there.
Yeah. And because I'm thinking about that lie in that moment, like what made you lie at that moment, you feel?
I think, yeah, I was super ashamed to admit that, oh, I haven't had sex yet. And in my head, I was just trying to justify it. But then if he would ask me why, I mean, that's probably going to be my only excuse, that I'm religious, like I'm super religious and I'm waiting until I'm going to get married, because this is what everyone does, isn't it?
Hmm.
But yes, that wasn't the case. It was it was a very strange moment as a young woman. It was just so embarrassing. It was
Hmm.
just so embarrassing. But I remember it until now, and I don't think I will ever forget it, because I don't think he really believed me at the time.
No, no.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it must have been already a
So
big step to have that conversation, or to go to a gynecologist anyway. Um, in general, especially if you've been ignoring that part of your body
yeah,
at a time, you know. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
so because you mentioned you having your red lipstick and like bright yellow sweater, like, so how would you describe to the people who don't know you, like, because of course, like, I know you, and you're like, the sunshine you are, I'll say, and the energy you bring, like
Thanks.
what how would you describe your personality around that time? Like, what type of girl were you?
Yeah, I think I was very friendly and outgoing, happy, and would make friends easily, and would always want to, I would say, explore the world and see new cities and go out with friends and go out for drinks. Everything was so amazing because I was young and I just finished university, and I moved to a bigger city. Things were amazing, but things were amazing for my friends in a sense that they could do what other women could do. You could go out, meet guys, have a drink. Some girls would have casual sex. Some friends would speak about it later on. And me sitting there and listening to all of the stories, I was sort of always like a good girl. I was a good one because I wouldn't go and have one night stands, or wouldn't engage into a long conversation with men. And everyone was like, oh yeah, she's fine. Everyone would probably assume that I was married and probably had like children, because I was just always so well behaved and happy, but really really reserved in a sense, that I wouldn't really engage into a conversation with men who would like, please allow me to buy you a drink. And I was like, no, thank you. And I would just kind of go away. Even though there were a man who would fancy me, who would wanted to know me better, to speak to me, to see, what is it she does? What does it, where does it you stay? What kind of person you are? It would be so great to get to know you. Well, it would be great to get to know you too, but we all know that you probably would not even date me more than a week if I would tell you, well, there is a thing, by the way, I don't think I can have sex with you because I still don't know why. I'm either overly religious or, which I'm probably not, or there's something going on. I'm not sure what exactly that is. So I don't think I was comfortable enough to start talking to men saying that I'm waiting for the right one, but how would you get a right one without even engaging into a conversation with any of them? So
Hmm.
there was some sort of like, there wasn't a fear of men, but there was.
Hmm.
So I don't know, I didn't know at the time how to explain that to myself, that I really want a boyfriend, I really want to be around a man, but I don't really know how to really explain it to them.
Yeah.
So,
Like a
yeah.
part of me wants to ask, and we might be jumping ahead with this, but I'm going to ask anyway as it comes up right now. But like, if you can explain, if you could, so if you could explain it now to your younger 24-year-old at that time, like, how would you explain it?
Um, I would probably tell myself that I was unconsciously afraid of a male presence in my life since I was brought up without a father as well. That was just this sort of like inability to get attached to a man in a sense. But no, I don't think really. No, cut that. I don't think this is a thing. No. Mm.
Hmm.
I don't know how to answer that. No,
No, how, like,
no.
even if this one part would be cut, like, what is actually going on in your mind right now?
I went blank.
Yeah. Yeah, because
I don't
because
know.
because
Yeah.
you did make like a point of, you'd think about your 24-year-old where everyone thought that the good girl, right? She might be married or she's religious, she's going to wait for the right one. You seeing that you were shying away from these relationships because, hey, if they do come close, then you might not be able to. You don't know why or what's going on in a way. And then if you now look back and when you say, actually, I might not have been able to connect with a male or wanting to, like, I'm not sure if it was like wanting to, regarding like a male presence, you know.
No,
So
I feel like, yeah, I feel like I know the reason. Probably I wouldn't want to start talking to someone because then I would have to explain myself. And then, you know, intimacy and cuddling, all the kissing. I absolutely loved it and I wanted it. I wanted a boyfriend because this is how we get happy, isn't it? You get a boyfriend, you get a partner, you get married, you get kids, and this is what happiness is. Like you want to be a family unit, you want to be independent, but go on adventures together. And I wanted this. However, I don't think I was ready to face this little world of, well, I never had sex before. And then the older I would get, the men I would meet, I would probably just distance myself to the point where, okay, well, at that point, I'm 25, 26. I don't really know how to tell a 26, 28-year-old man that I never had sex before because they would look at me and be like, what is wrong with you? But at the same time, there was nothing wrong with me. In my head, I was just so super, um, in my head, I was convinced that I'm actually waiting for the right man for me. And I was just waiting for the right man.
Mm.
However, that wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. I just didn't know at the time that there was the deeper reason for me not be able to stand in front of a man and say, well, I don't think that I can have sex because I don't think I tried, but at the same time, I don't feel like I can.
Mm. Like, how did you know that you weren't able to have sex?
So I obviously had, a few boyfriends, and I thought, I met the one, and then we tried once, and both of us being so inexperienced and so young, it just never went anywhere. And I was like, oh, surely it's just not me. Oh, surely maybe it's me. Maybe I just don't know how it works. But being a biology student at the time, you sort of know that you should have a vagina, you should have a period, but and you're able to have a period, so basically there is something, and something is coming out of somewhere. So yeah, yeah, you're a woman with a vagina. However, maybe there is something wrong with men you try and date, and maybe, yeah. So I had a little relationship which didn't go anywhere, but I knew that there was something wrong, but at the same time, I was like, well, maybe he wasn't the right person. And so I was stopping myself getting into more serious relationships because of that failure, because the feeling of failing again and trying to explain, and then, oh, you're not that man again. Like, yeah, I just couldn't bear the thought of doing this again, going over this again. No. And so I was just so reluctant to get into another relationship because, again, it was just so uncomfortable to share that, well, I tried once and it didn't really happen. So maybe he wasn't the one.
But what
So
do you
yeah.
mean, like the or not sharing? Was it not sharing, saying like not sharing having sex with the person, or not sharing not being able to have sex? Because when did you know that let's say sex was maybe not on the cards, because what you said, you were waiting for the right person, um and
Yeah.
maybe one of them was a feeling that they were the right person. I'm not sure. And then did you then find out that penetration might not have been? Because when we talk about sex, it could be really broad, right? But if we talk about sex in this sense, are we then talking about penetration?
Yeah. So probably 25, 26, around that age, I met a man, and instantly I thought, oh my God, he's the one. Like, he is the one. And I was really attracted to him, and things were going okay. And then first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and oh my God, this is not happening. Everything is great, the kissing, the cuddling, and all of this, but when we tried penetrative sex, it didn't happen because, obviously, like everyone describes that, it was just this feeling of hitting the wall. I was the wall. And
Mm.
this is the second time when it didn't work, but with the man who I thought is the one. And how disappointed I was because I couldn't understand. I didn't even I felt so uncomfortable, and I apologized, and I said, I'm really sorry, I don't know what's happening. And so trying next day and the day after, literally I was on the mission. I was like, we'll do it, let's do it. But it's not working. Doesn't matter how hard you try. And it's like, ow, ow, ow. Yes. So the ow wasn't a good signal. So okay, well, I started thinking about it, and the next day I was like, literally, listen, there, you should have a vagina, right? Even though you don't acknowledge that you do, things should work because this is D1, this is D man. So let's do it. So went to the shop, got a pack of tampons, and I was like, do you know what? Like, you need to find your vagina, and tampons are something which girls do, but you never used it because you had some sort of weird barrier in your head. And so, this is the way we're going to start looking for it. Okay, let's do it. So, tampon one, tampon two, a YouTube video how to insert a tampon. I was a girl who took a teddy bear out, and she showed the girl, so this is a teddy bear, and I have a little hole. So when you spread your legs in the bathroom and you try and insert the tampon, so basically where the tampon goes inside the bear, this is the opening. So I was like, okay, well, I'm a bear. This is the toilet. This is a tampon. Let's do it. Tampon number one, bin. Tampon number two, bin. Tampon number three, bin. Well, what's going on? The applicator, the plasticky bit was kind of nippy, and I was like, no, okay, breathe. Okay, let's try and breathe again. And it's not even close to what it's supposed to be, because every time I try and touch my vagina with the tampon, I just like automatically my hand just goes away. Like I can't touch it. I can't touch it. And so that was a bell where I was like, okay, this is weird. I mean, everyone on YouTube can do it, and you being in the toilet with like a pack of Tampax, you can't do it. This is weird. So I was very puzzled. I was very puzzled.
Yeah.
Um, then me and as I thought at a time, the one we had a few arguments, and I was embarrassed to the point where I said, okay, let me see what I can do. And I found a relationship counselor where I thought, you know what, I think I have a problem of not being able to have penetrative sex. And I couldn't even word it that way. I was just, again, embarrassed to the core that I couldn't even, I phoned to the clinic and I thought I'm going to burst into tears while making my appointment. So I made an appointment with a relationship counselor, and I thought, okay, let's see, because I thought, my partner at the time, it's been a few months we're together, he would definitely, I don't know, start cheating on me or something, because I don't know what's going on. Like, I was just so insecure, and I was trying to talk to him about it, but I wasn't. I would tell him, this is, I can't do it, but I don't know why. And so I thought, I'm a problem, so let's do it. So I booked an appointment with a relationship counselor. I went for an appointment. I was like really hush hush about it, so quiet. And we spoke for half an hour. I explained to her what's going on. She did tell me, well, yeah, the advice of glass of wine was right there. She was like, yeah, why don't you have glass of wine and relax? And I just thought, this is such a great idea. This is what I'm gonna do. But then this is what I'm gonna do. Yeah, obviously, you can drink yourself to sleep, but you can't really drink and have sex. This is just never worked for me. I just, no matter how many glasses of wine I had that night, I just couldn't relax enough. I had, the anxiety was just unreal. And so the relationship counselor referred me to a psychosexual therapist. She was like, well, maybe you need 2 to 3 sessions and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You just need to relax. So after 3.5 years of therapy, no, it's just, I wasn't anywhere near what I wanted to be. So the psychosexual therapist showed me pictures of vaginas. She explained to me that this is what potentially happening, and she actually gave me a word for it. She said, I feel that you probably have vaginismus. I looked at her and I was like, nah. I laughed. I said, nah, this is not me. I think for the next couple of months, if not half a year, I was in such a big denial. I'm like, vaginismus. I couldn't even say it out loud. I'm like, nah, this is not me. Acknowledging that something was really wrong, not knowing why yet, was just such a big thing. And I was like, nah, me? No, never. Nah, no.
So through psychosexual therapy, she told you what vaginismus was, and what you said you were a bit in denial about it. But like, what is it that you feel that, like, is there anything that you feel you learned about like your body and your mind per se while in those sessions? Because when you look back from a young age, what you said, there was like a definite denial of vagina. Let's put that in a box. And even when you said being in a relationship, which the part that we might come back to later, of like having a relationship, wanting to meet Mr. Right, actually do have like the cuddles and the kisses, but then still a bit in denial of your vagina until, of course, the moment comes of penetration where you're like, oh, but I do have one. I do have one. So I wonder, what is it that you learned, or what is it that you learned about yourself in those sessions that you had with your psychosexual therapist, like regarding that mindset? Where do you feel that it then might have come from?
Yeah, so my psychosexual therapist was a very lovely lady, and she started working with me gradually through, you know, she was looking for those triggers. She was looking for maybe causes of my vaginismus. So, with working with me once a week, going through the stories from my childhood and, different events of my life, she finally made me say it out loud. She she made me realize that the problem lays deep inside my brain, and she made me realize that my vagina and brain connection is very, very strong, and that every vaginismus might or might not have a reason for it, whereas I was happy to know, I would say, that mine had a reason.
Hmm.
And as it appears through our talk and me getting those horrible dreams back, I was sexually abused as a child at the age of 7 and 8. And this was a very big eye opener for me, then see how my relationship with men progressed. By me, when somebody would try and tap me on the shoulder, I would jump. If somebody would try and put their hand on my leg, I would jump. And only then I start realizing that my body is alarming me. All these jumps and little things, and me not being able to, literally just jump and run and, like threw myself into somebody's hands, is just because my body was telling me that you have to be careful, there is something going on.
Hmm.
And eventually we got to the conclusion that, okay, this happened. And what your body is doing, it's a good good defense mechanism, which at the point of your life where you're now isn't working very well, because you don't need this defense. You're your own person. You can see what's good and bad. And your body is still in that mindset where, if there is a bad thing just about to happen to you, your body just shuts down. And yeah, I would
Whew.
say it's been, yeah, it
Yeah,
was a
like I
big
just,
relief to.
yeah, like I'm just having a big sigh here, and it's not that I want to interrupt you, but I'll, you know, let me just say fuck, like, you know, and
Yeah, absolutely.
I just feel that maybe everyone who's listening maybe even needs a moment with this, because I know you, like I've met you, if it's over 6 months or more that we now started talking, and I know that we didn't cover certain things. So from me listening to you and hearing this, like, it's not about me, but I am here like because I love you, and like the tears in my eyes are like
Thank
fucks,
you. Yeah,
like I'm like how I wish we were in the same space right now,
I
you
know.
know. But there is something there, what you said, like you and your therapist at that time, like she uncovered this for you, and the unconscious or the conscious, because was that something that you were conscious about, or was that something that you feel that you had put away until the conversation with your psychosexual
Um,
therapist?
Absolutely. That was never, it was always at the back of my mind. I knew that these things happened to me, but I could never relate these two things together. The putting them together was never an option, because this is like a separate event of my life. And, if it happened so many years ago, that I sort of kind of knew it was there, but I forgot about it. But I knew it was there. And after like something very traumatic uh, something very traumatic happened during the time when I was at university, and this big stress sort of triggered nightmares. So it's it all brought back. It was all brought back by my nightmares. And one day I woke up, like I was like, okay, this is real. Like it's just coming back to me just because I'm so super stressed. And I went to my therapist and I was like, well, I had that dream, and I know that this was happening. Like this is the thing, and maybe this is what it is. And
Mm.
yeah,
So the pieces were puzzle, the pieces of the puzzle.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the pieces
Yeah.
of the puzzle all
Got
came together.
together.
Yeah, came
Yes,
together in that moment. Wow.
absolutely.
Yeah. So what
Yes,
happened?
but
What happened then when you realized that in a way? So when the
um,
pieces fell together.
yes, so I had my reason. I had a little thing to be like, okay, well, I have vaginismus. I was sexually abused as a child, and this is nothing I could have done. This is nothing which I triggered. This is something I haven't chosen for myself. This is something which is so unfortunate and it happened to me. So, what do I have to do now? I have to somehow fix it. But the problem with vaginismus is that it's not something you can just take and fix. I was never relating to myself as a person who was broken, because this phrase on its own would make me feel so miserable, because there were people in the past who related to me as, when you're going to fix yourself, like go and fix yourself, you're broken. And I was never wanting to see myself from that angle. I wasn't broken at all. There was something which happened to me, which wasn't my choice. So, unfortunately, right now, what I would have to do is to see what my options were. So, if it happened to be the case, there is obviously a treatment plan. There's something I can do to reprogram my body. So if this is a defense mechanism which my body developed throughout the years, well, how do I teach my body to take penetration as a normal act? My body shouldn't start defending myself and preventing this is just natural. It should be natural, because in the end of the day, I'm a human. I was designed to have babies and have sex and be happy. And yes, this
Hmm.
these thoughts were going through my head. So what should I do now? It was an eye opener. However, I wasn't in a right set of mind still, and my environment wasn't good to start treating myself from vaginismus. I was just super stressed, and anxiety was, plumbing through the roof. It was just not a good time for me a couple of years ago.
Hmm. Even if you were stressed and even if you weren't in the right mindset, what do you do believe that you worked on in that time with her?
Uh, I was trying to address all my vaginismus issues at the time, and I was obviously I don't know. I think I was just waiting for a miracle cure somehow. And, I thought that my psychosexual therapy, it's exactly what I have to do to kind of beat it. So I was addressing different type of issues which were bothering me at a time, as well as trying to cure the vaginismus. But as I said, I had so many things going on the background that vaginismus wasn't my priority. And so my psychosexual therapist, I was introduced to dilators. I bought my own set. She actually had to talk me into, why don't you take it out and look at it? Why don't you just have a look at it? And then I was like, nah. So how am I supposed to get through my treatment by still being in denial, by walking there and like actually physically bringing me to the session, thinking that, oh, I'm here, it's working. But is it really working? That I'm still in denial. I am still not in the right mindset to do this. And yes, so my psychosexual therapist was amazing. She was just like, okay, well, the next thing we need to do, sure, okay, you don't want to look at your dilators. How about you make friends with your vagina? Like, I'm like, vagina, what's vagina? She's like, right, okay, so why don't you go home, take a mirror and have a look at it? I was like, seriously, it's not happening. She's like, why not? I was like, no. So for a couple of weeks, she would have to talk me into it. She was like, "Oh, Luna, please just go home and take a mirror. It's nothing bad." I was like, "Nah." Do you know
Mm.
what? Like, it was such a horrible, weird idea she had in her head. Me going home and looking at my vagina in the mirror. Are you for real? This is not what girls do, right? Things are happening naturally. So I'm talking to my body, reprogramming it, and then trying it again. And well, while sometimes I would try uh, penetration with my partner and I just wouldn't go anywhere. I would be like, oh, well, the talking isn't helping. And then my psychosexual therapist would say, well, okay, we'll work with dilators. So dilators are developed to, you know, train your body to then train your brain. Oh, it was very hard going for me. I was like, no.
Mm. Yeah.
But then eventually, probably in say 2 years' time, 2.5 years' time, I finally have taken my NHS zero dilator, and somehow I managed to put it in. I don't know how. It was a miracle because I couldn't find guidance. I couldn't, I asked her literally, I did ask her, I'm like, could you please give me a numbing cream? I wouldn't even mind if you just do it here for me. I don't know what it goes. I don't know how to do it. There is
Mm.
no guidance, there's no pictures. I need to see what it goes.
Yeah. But
So yeah, I was so desperate.
but because what I'm hearing as well is that in the time that because there was a lot that was happening in that time from you finding out and finding out everything. Um, but then when we talk about friendship and Princess K, there was no friendship at all because you hadn't found her as yet as a friend, it sounded
No,
like.
absolutely not.
And and
Yeah.
and, and you were saying that, oh, um, I'm gonna go. I'm doing this. I'm having psychosexual therapy, and I'm gonna be cured by talking about it. But then that whole bit of connecting, or actually finding her as a friend, that came in time by like the suggestions that your psychosexual therapist had. But there was still some resistance, or let's say quite a bit of a resistance for you to be like,
Oh,
let's
absolutely.
let's
Yeah.
let's see what friend I have, or like, or what does she look like, or yeah, what you said. And um so I'm very curious that, or what you said, it sounds like that it was a real process for you, a very like a real process from finding out all the hard times and all the realistic things that are happening, but then also the process of, okay, so if talking about it doesn't necessarily make this right, trying
Yeah.
to find your vagina and actually do something with it besides, because can I ask a random question? So for you to find your vagina is one, but
Hmm.
how was it for someone else to find your vagina? So if you, when you had partners, was that in that time okay?
Do you know, like, this is not something I would just be. I know that, it's fine as long as they don't put fingers in it. That's the borderline. I was like, that was the thing. Like, do not put your fingers in. And so, okay, fine, right? So even though in my head I'm like, well, this is supposed to be pleasurable, but my body would just be so tense that there is no way you can even like, put your fingers around it. Like, no way. It was just a very stressful experience, I would say.
Mm, yeah. So when did you see that there was then the relationship that changed between you, your body, your mind? Like when did the shift come? Because you just mentioned about all of a sudden, like you were able to put in one of the dilators in a way, but what do you believe happened for that to happen?
I don't know. I was so frustrated. I was getting frustrated because I was in therapy for probably like 2 years at a time. And I was getting so frustrated and I didn't know. I didn't know what to do and how to do it. And the resources were so limited. I wouldn't find I wouldn't find guidance anywhere. And so my therapist did walk me through it, and she's like, you need to relax and breathe, like, and use a lot of lube, and please, like, just try. In my head, I honestly didn't know. I didn't know how to do it. But okay, fine, a lamp, a mirror, and a dilator and a lube. That's what actually helped me.
Mm.
So if somebody just blindly tries and puts dilator in, I don't know how you do it. Like, you're my hero. Because when I started doing it, I had a kit on my bed, and it was the lamp, the mirror, and a dilator. And obviously, I showered myself in lube. This is how it worked for me. It started working, but even though talking through how to do it, I think during my therapy, I probably done it 2 or 3 times only. Like, I couldn't make myself to dilate. I just couldn't. Even though, it was uncomfortable for the first time, it was painful and nippy for the second time. And then sometimes when I would try it for the third time, the smallest dilator would go in fine, but the size one would not go in. And I would just not understand. Like, my body is designed to do that. So why can I not go a size up, like literally in a day? Like, I want it now. And obviously, my therapist, she realized, she was like, you're so impatient. You cannot do it in one day. I know that you want results tomorrow. I know that you want your results tomorrow, but you have to calm down. And the reason why I was rushing it, in my relationship, I wasn't getting anywhere. I wasn't happy, and I felt like I owe something to my partner at the time. I was rushing it so much because I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for someone else, to
Mm.
please someone else, to be like, well, this is it. I'm doing it, right? I'm doing it, but it's not working, but I'm still doing it. So I just wanted to be that person he would choose for me trying so hard to to do it, for him. And that was when the I realized later in life that that was a wrong approach.
Mm.
This is You're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for anyone else. You can't rush it. Everybody's speed is different. Everybody's body is different. Body mind connection is different. You cannot just do it and try and please someone else.
Yeah.
You have to do it for yourself.
Yeah. Like, because what you say later in life, that, the realization that's, of course, you're so right,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering for you that it was because that was like while you're in that relationship and you're trying to please someone, um what what happened for you to come to that knowledge of, I have to do it for myself? Like, how did you get to that wisdom, I'll say?
Yeah. So, in the end, that relationship didn't work out. And I um, got some time to myself. I moved in by myself. I got this time to think about me. And so, last year was a year when I was like, okay, well, you know what? This is now me and my vaginismus. And this is the time when we have to start working on us. So that's the time when I don't have to try and please someone else, try and explain to someone else that I'm not broken. I am not, I'm not trying to fix myself, as you say, because this is nothing to fix. I am my own person, and having what I have just puts me in the position where I can't have penetrative sex. Everything else about me is right. And, I had time to think about it and get myself together in a sense. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This is me, and I want to have a family. I want to have kids. I want to get a smear test. I want to have an exam. I want to go to a gynecologist, and don't tell them that I'm religious. Don't tell them that I cannot have this exam because I haven't had sex yet, and I'm in my early 30s. So I just have to do it for me. And that's when on the Vaginismus network, I saw an advert for your coaching program for regaining your confidence with Vaginismus workshop. And I thought, you know what? I think so far I've had psychosexual therapy and I'm taking a break because I just have to reorganize my thoughts and it's not taking me anywhere just now. So I took a break. I stopped attending my sessions, and 4 months after I saw the advert, and I was like, no, I would say maybe more, like maybe like half a year after I saw your advert, and I was like, okay, let's do it. This is something new. This is, I have nothing to lose. This is something new. Let's do it. Maybe, maybe it will help me and open up other doors, and let's see how it goes. And I did not regret it for a moment.
Mm.
It was just such a positive experience. I mean, I met you and I was like, this is the woman. This is the woman.
Oh, that's
She
so
is the
sweet.
one.
That's so sweet. I feel I have to just make a disclaimer here saying, hey guys, I am not asking her to say any of this. This is not a commercial for any of the things that I do. This is just her sharing her story and her being honest because that's not but what I hear is that there was a positive that, like, I know the workshop because I created it, but there was a positive, there was something, there was a, like, I'm curious for you, like the shift of having had psychosexual therapy, going into deep conversation for you to figure out where your vagina is, and then 6 months later coming across a random workshop with me where I'm playing music and being a bit silly at times, right? So what happened then for you? Because I think because
um,
you had met some, did you at that time already met other people with vaginismus?
so yeah, a year ago, before I joined your workshop, I met two girls and we went to Edinburgh to Fringe Festival to watch a play about vagina and vaginismus. And that time was the time when I saw this woman as like total heroes. They were so happy and so lively and laughing and just saying vagina all the time. And there was me, like obviously thinking that everyone is looking at me. I was in that queue to watch a play, but everyone is looking at me. They know I have vaginismus. And I just tried to hide. And all these women around me, like being so happy, and they're going to watch a play and they talk about, dilators right there. And they're like, well, have you tried this? This is horrible. And I'm just standing there like, oh my God, like I just want to disappear.
Mm.
And and yeah, and it was just the best evening of my life. I just met somebody who actually feels feels the same way, who's been feeling that the same way for the last like 5 years or more. And there was them and me, and I was like, oh my God. It was an eye opener, and we were in touch, and I was still dealing with other problems on the side, but I was getting used to the thought that I do have vaginismus. This is real. This is what girls are describing. And my brain started working, and I started like gaining more positivity out of like chatting to them about it. And I was like, well, I tried this, but this is not helping. And then the girls would be like, let's go out for drinks and for lunch, and let's talk about it outside. And I met them again for lunch, and then we had a workshop, and it was great, and I could talk about it. And it was so liberating, like literally just stand there and sit there and look at each other and be like, well, hey, say vagina. Like you can do it. Whereas before I couldn't even say it out loud. It was so embarrassing.
Mm.
And looking um at your workshop advert, I was like, well, talking about it helped me so much. So what if I talk to someone else about it, and let's see what ideas do you have, because I need new ideas. I'm so desperate. I really want to solve it. Like help, basically. So yeah,
Yeah. And
that's how I joined your workshop.
yeah, no, but it's yeah, because I was curious about the part of having others already there. So it sounds that that was really a shift for you of meeting
It was
others
absolutely.
to talk about it and going to the play. Because I remember, I don't think I'm not sure if it's the same play I've seen. Maybe there was another play going on because I've seen a play which was great. I've forgotten the name, but there was a play as well about vaginismus, and
Yeah, I think it was, let me tell you a story that I'm writing a play about my vagina
vagina.
or
Yeah,
something like
I
that. Yeah.
I hope it was the same one, but I've seen it in London, so I'm like, was it the same or was it elsewhere?
Yeah.
But for you, it was. It seems that that was a crucial moment of, oh, look how the other girls are talking about their vaginas and how they're talking about dilating and how this play is created, and you bonding with them
Yeah.
to then being open to find other places to maybe do the same in a way. So
Yeah.
at this time, did you then have become friends with Princess K as yet, or where are we now in your story?
Yeah, I would say, I wasn't dilating at the time yet. I was just getting there. I was just like, okay, fine. We took out the mirror. We know how we look like. It's all good. You know, by that time, a year ago, I knew, I'm okay. I'm okay with my body. I know how it looks like. I know it's there now. I
Mhm.
know I have a vagina, which is great.
Yeah,
I mean, woman in her 30s, finally.
it's like, woohoo, we got a vagina.
I know. We got a
Yeah.
vagina. This is something. So now we
What
need
was
to.
she your friend then, or was it not a friend yet? It was like she was there. She was allowed to be there.
She was allowed to be there, I would say. Yeah, she was allowed to be there.
Yeah. So when did she become when or how has she become your friend?
I mean, the I really wanted to start working towards dilating. So I tried and explore and tried to make myself comfortable and trying to, retrain my brain that every possible touch shouldn't be a warning, So you have to reprogram your body that even touching around your vagina shouldn't feel like something abnormal. That even if you go for a medical examination and somebody, you know, and the nurse or the doctor tries to examine you, that should not give you a warning and anxiety. But for me, that was the case before.
Mm.
And so I tried and I read about vaginismus and I went to Vaginismus Network, Instagram, and their page. And I did my research. And, that's when I read about dilators and, um, that
Are
you
you
need to, if you want to start,
Oh, did
that's
you
when I
did
read.
yeah, did you mean that you read about dilators or the reason for dilating? Did it because you had of course already your because what I understand your psychosexual therapist had already introduced you to it, but you've put it aside a bit, being like, no, not doing that as yet. But then this information was then different. Was it different for you?
I think it was just, I was probably just getting used to, working through dilators to actually, why am I doing that? I'm retraining my body, but I'm adjusting my body to different sizes as well. And for me, I was looking for more tips like, how do you dilate? How long do you leave it in? Do you like put it in and out? Do you take it out? How do you even, where do you even start?
Mm, I,
So
I remember
dilating just
you
felt
actually
like a mission.
I even remember you actually, I think when we met, that was one of your first questions as well. It was about
Yeah, I was like,
dilating,
how do
like the
you do it?
instructions. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I quite dismissed those questions in a way, being like, don't worry, it's gonna come. Like, because I remember you
Yeah, I
asking
did.
about, so
Yeah.
how many times do I have to do this? What is your
How do you do it?
like
Yeah.
like the manual of the dilating manual? So even if I might not have been even if I didn't maybe give you because I said, I think I forgot my complete answer about the dilating, but I remember I think it was a very political answer by saying, what did I actually say? Do you remember what I said?
Um,
Because I was like, I like for me, there wasn't. a manual of how many times or what, or
Yeah, you
yeah.
were treated in a different way. I think your treatment plan was different with dilators, and it's just because I had those dilators, I was like, okay, well, I have to do something with them, right? So where do I start?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how long do you do it for? When do you know that you have to use a different size? And I mean, there's just not enough information out there. Like, you
But what
kind
is
of
there?
have to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's and because that, I think when we spoke, my answer likely had been something like, that it's very I had one told my story and said about my relationship with dilating, and I felt that I did it slightly different because my dilators were not that all the sexy dilators as everyone has right now, so it wasn't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
inviting, but like that I think individually that I had like I had a different view on dilating. But I wonder for you about, have you found the answer about what it is for you? Like, what are the rules?
You mean while trying and research internet?
No, just now that you've gone like because you said now you're friendly, friendly with Princess K. So what are the rules now about dilating?
Um, so yeah, so I attended your workshop, and then I joined your coaching. And then through your coaching program for the next 4 months, I would say, I learned a lot about my body. I learned about my body connection and my mind connection. I learned a lot that, women wouldn't just see out there. It's not, there is no rules. There is nothing written down to actually make you do it. You kind of have to get time for yourself to dilate, to, you know, find the way. And so, yeah, so when I started dilating, finally, I realized that everybody is different and every woman is different. And the first rule for me is make time, literally make time. And I decided, okay, I'm going to make time now because this is something I'm doing for me. And the second thing, I start writing a little diary. It's not a diary, but probably, I called it my V workouts. So V is vagina,
Mm-hmm.
and workouts is a workout. Basically, what you do with dilators. I mean, I'm a runner. I run a lot and I exercise a lot. So a workout is a workout. It's a muscle too. So I decided to call it my V workout.
Amazing.
And it helps me a lot, like in terms, when I start my dilating routine, it depends on your body. It's a personal preference. If you can do it a few times a week, or you can do it once a week, write down your feelings, write down what dilator you're in, what how much you manage to insert, how long it's been there. They recommend, I think, on NHS website or some other internet websites, they recommend probably 15 to 20 minutes of uh, dilator being inside of your vagina. And for me, that was like 15 to 20 minutes. And what am I supposed to do?
Mm.
That's just lying there. So, try and make it pleasurable. Dilating shouldn't be a horrible thing to go through. You have to make yourself feel good before, just like any intercourse. Like, you have to start your body feeling good before you actually do something. It's a natural process. So you're allowed to use sex toys and stimulate your body, because then your vagina would just open naturally. And this is the whole idea which I have in my head when I start dilating. I'm like, well, just imagine this is all good. We can do it. And obviously, loads of breathing, loads of inhaling and exhaling, and loads of love. And yes, and write down how you felt, what dilator you're in. And these are the rules I I'm still following them. I
Yeah.
stuck by them because they work for me.
Yeah. So what is your relationship with your body and your mind and your Princess K now? Because you said friendly, but like how, like if you, because right now, like, are we able to say vagina out loud? Because I know that you are, because you recently spoke at the network. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
where are you now in your journey, you feel like, with vaginismus?
I, do you know, the last year was a big eye opener for me, and I feel like in 4 months of um, the group coaching, I have actually achieved so much. And because of you, thank you so much. Like, I made such a great body mind connection, and I finally found my vagina and be made friends with it. And we can agree and disagree sometimes. We do not like certain dilators being very nippy, but we say ow, 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 and then we say, okay, breathe now, more loop maybe, and we try our best. Like, I know that we in it together.
Mm, mm.
It's not only me or it's not only her. We're in it together. We're the same person, so we're doing it.
Yeah. Or it sounds like what you said, like in the time of doing or connecting with me, that you started to create, we say, the body mind connection very much. But as I always say, it's like you've done it yourself, really, right? Like what you said, like I can't, like I keep repeating this to you as well. But like I know I'm here to hold, I held that space for you and the other girls. And I've been here with my own experience thinking about what I needed at the time, because I know that when,
Yeah,
I, if I had my therapy or my physiotherapy and they send me home with this random looking dilator, and
yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that while I was there it was all fine and the
Hmm.
practicing was fine with the person there, but it was me being by myself, that was more the push of, okay, so are we going to do this? I'm going to put this in,
Hmm.
or gonna go and watch an episode of Gilmore Girls. I remember that well. I had the whole DVD box. So I
Uh,
know that in between conversation that we individually have with ourselves, of like what you said, individually with you, there was a time that even if you had your conversation with your psychosexual therapist, when you were by yourself, you then decided not to have that conversation with you and your body, really, because you're like, I've had that conversation over there, this
yeah,
should fix this, right? Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah. And until you started talking to other girls about it, and with all the knowledge that you already gained, because psychosexual therapist has really helped you, and it was really good what you
yeah,
said, but it was more that in between part, like you and you, the V and
yeah.
me, and or the Princess K and you, that relationship. That's why what you made time for in the months that we were together. Like you created that time for you. Like you had your exercise regime, we'll say, but you,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I
and
I was looking for the support, and that workshop gave me the support I was looking for. I was surrounded with women who were going through the same experience, describing it using the same exact words I had in my head. I had you, Audrey, who was pushing me towards, think this way. How about you look at it from this perspective? And how about you will stop telling to yourself that, this is your fault or you can't do it. Of course you can. Of course you can. And so every after workshop, like, I felt so empowered, and I was like, of course I can. Like, what can you not do? Literally.
mm, mm,
This is just a little small thing. It doesn't define me. I am not it. I'm good. I'm good. I can do it. And so with this positive mindset, with a lot of, this push, but you wouldn't really realize at the time that, all us together trying to push each other to achieve something, whereas we're not working towards beating it. We're working towards being comfortable and acknowledging that this is what it is. And there are certain ways of dealing with this, with vaginismus, and while there is not the same solution for every person, but there is certainly a solution which would fit specifically to your situation.
Yeah.
And this is how I looked at it. And we're all different. And there are certain things which, working for me, but the same approach, the same speed would not work for other girls, for other women, for other people, for anybody. Like, it's just you are on your own journey and just take it at your own speed. Do what fits and suits you, your body, your mind, your mindset.
Mm.
Do
Yeah.
it in your own time, on your own, in your own speed.
Yeah. And like, because by you saying that, like, really what resonates for me is you having that moment where the narrative changed for you, the narrative in your mind, like the way that you were talking about yourself, the way that you were talking about how to, what to do, going on your speed, the positive mindset of like, even if it was me giving a gentle push, but saying like, of course, like, let's not talk about ourselves so negatively. Like, so there was this change in narrative of,
Yeah, absolutely. I got myself to the point where, okay, well, there was a switch, and it was such a big thing for me. The switch was I started dilating, I think after second session, while attending your group coaching. And you know what? I I managed my zero shoe dilator, and then like first dilator and then the second one. And in 3 months, I got myself into a third dilator. And do you know what? I was so happy that I thought, me, a person who thought that touching around vaginal opening, it was, oh my God, like it was just so horrendous. It was horrible. Like to the point where a dilator could actually go in. There is no way in the world the dilator can go in, because I was so squeamish about it. And I was like, no, 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 no. It was just a big no. Like just the whole me, if you can picture me, I was just a no. Like it was nowhere. That dilator was just, it would give me anxiety, a heart attack right there when I would look at it. There is nothing in the world which would make me put dilator inside of me. Like, no. Audrey, after second session with the next 3 months, I was on my third dilator. Why? Because I gained that confidence and I have that safe space. And I spoke to myself and we agreed that we can do it. And
mm,
after a lot of breathing and a lot of look, and no, this is not all happy. I have to sometimes, it doesn't always work. Your body sometimes is too stressed. Sometimes there are different factors which affect your dilating as well. You have to be relaxed. You have to be in the right mindset. Yes. But just thinking about how long it took me before, like so many years to just go back and forth. Can you do it? No, you can't do it. Is it sore? Yes, it's sore. And now look, in such a short period of time, when I finally got myself into the right mindset,
mm,
right, situation where I can do it. And I spoke to myself and I told myself, you can do it. There is nothing you can't do. So let's
mm.
let's go.
And I'm 100% convinced that there's nothing you can't do, Ilona, for sure. Like, but
Thank
it's
you.
yeah, but it's also like for me, like it's because today when before going on this call, I of course just looked back our communication of the last months together, and the, of what you said, the mindset you had when you stepped in was different than the mindset that I saw you have the other day when you did a presentation in the Vaginismus network as well. So
Yes,
I'm
yes.
just very proud of you of creating that mindset for yourself, because I do,
Thank you.
you can talk about me, you could talk about the girls, you could talk about the network, but it's all about as well who you have been for yourself in this time, what you have made possible for yourself while on this journey, really. um so when we started our podcast, you were mentioning about finding the right person and to have like to be intimate with in a way, right? And comparing with who you were when you were 24, trying to find Mr. Right and maybe shying away from sex in a way. you know.
Yeah,
How are
yeah.
you now? How are you now about like that relationship, sexuality type of world?
I think I feel more confident now and more comfortable to open up to someone about it. Whereas before, I couldn't even talk about it to myself. And now I know that I can actually comfortably talk about it and be like, look, this is what it is. And this is what I'm doing to beat it and
Mm,
to try and get rid of it.
yeah. And what I understand is that because of your whole journey from the moment that you've started talking about it with your psychosexual therapist, that like you now know what it is, so it's easier to explain um,
Yeah.
as well. And like,
Absolutely. Now
mm,
I have a word. I have a word for it. I actually have a resource. I can go to the Vaginismus network and, there are pictures, there's text. There are actually a good piece of advice to all the young people who are out there and struggling. And this is beyond educational. There's a lot of things I didn't know how to explain, and now I can relate to each and every word.
mm,
And so um, yeah, so people we meet, if we want to be open about it with them, we can send them the link and be like, well, this is, if you want to know more about it, this is what it is.
yeah, yeah,
And this is great.
yeah. So now that we're coming to the end in a way, because I feel that we could talk literally for this for
We can,
hours and
yeah.
hours. And I can sit here on our Sunday while we can't go anywhere because of crazy COVID times. I'm like, why not just stay on the line with Alona? Let's film, mate. Like, just let's talk about anything that's going on in life. But if
I know,
like
that would be
mostly,
great.
yeah, like to be honest, we can do that. And when we hang up, we might
Yeah.
still do anyway. But um to end our conversation, I have been asking the same question to everyone, and I want to ask the same
Hmm.
to you. So, and you might have kind of answered part of this earlier, if I come to think about it. But what do you know now that you wish you knew then?
Yeah, it's hard to limit myself to one thing, but I know quite a lot now. It's been 5 years. It's been 5 years, and I know quite a bit. But um, the I think the most important thing that I wish I knew, that I could ask for help. I wish I knew that this is nothing to be ashamed of, and that being diagnosed with vaginismus doesn't make me less of a person. That going and talking to my GP about it would get me help earlier, and then I would hope by now that I would be so much further with my treatment progress. I wish I could ask for help and not suffer in silence.
Hmm.
So I would like to encourage every person who is out there, thinks that they might have vaginismus, to go and ask for help.
Hmm.
Go and talk about it. Go and ask your GP for your treatment options, because this is when you start, and then you would progress much faster.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like so actually you're actually also already given like maybe a top tip because I wanted to ask if you had a top tip. Did you have any other tips that you wanted to give to people who are listening?
Oh, my main thing is dilating, and I am such an advocate for easy easy dilating. And the tip I would like to share, which helped me with dilating, is if you feel that you're ready to start dilating but you're not sure where to start, a good thing to do would be to start getting used to dilators by looking at them, holding them, keeping them under your pillow or somewhere you can see them, like anywhere really. Like make them part of your bedroom so you would get used to them, so dilators would become something normal, something which doesn't give you an anxiety or like heart attack like
Mm,
by just looking at them. you know they are your tools to start retraining your brain to relax pelvic floor muscles. Make them your friends. And of course, use lube, like bathe yourself in lube. This helped me to normalize dilators and stop getting anxiety attacks. And I really hope that this will work for you too.
I'm sure that there will be the people there
Yay.
thanking you for that. And if you can finish this is the last sentence for you to finish, because I'm going to read it out and you're going to give me the first thing that comes into your mind. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if I will say, you are not vaginismus, but you are
Amazing.
And you're so right. You're so right. Amazing. Awesome. But I wanted to thank you for spending the time with me and to have an open conversation, an open, honest, and authentic conversation. So actually, where can they find you? Because can they find you online if people want to connect with you? What would be your do you have an Instagram handle?
Yeah, absolutely. Please add me on Instagram at Vaginismus. I am not it. It's a Princess K vagina on the avatar. It's a cute little pink vagina. You can see it. And if you have any questions, and I am reposting all the useful resources from Audrey's Insta, from Vaginismus Network, from therapist and pelvic floor specialists. Like, I am reposting all the useful information. So please add me on Instagram and let's do it together. You're not in it alone.
You're not alone for sure. So you said Vaginismus, I am not it. So find her, find Alona. She's amazing. And I heard her speak only recently at the Vaginismus Network, and she literally rocked it. She owned it. She stepped into her confidence 100%. And even if she might not have in the beginning not felt that Princess K was her friend, but she has made her her friend. So, but yeah, again, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening as well. Speak soon again. This was the VME podcast, Vaginismus, Let's Name It, Not Shame It, with Audrey Cairo. Don't hesitate to reach out or to connect on Instagram on Let's Call Her V, because I'm always happy to hear from you.